Aloha guys, Scuba Chris here. For years I used to use just monofilament line for my leaders. When I go bait casting at night or during the day, I use monofilament. And basically I know fluorocarbon is better because if you use, let's say, 100-pound test fluorocarbon versus 100-pound test mono, the fluorocarbon is going to be much more expensive and it's going to be harder to tie knots in. So the old fluorocarbon, when you tie knots in it, most chances are that if you're going to get a break, it's going to be broke at the knot. So I would have to go and crimp it, okay? There's a lot of pros and cons on it, but the fluorocarbon market has changed. Let me explain why. Okay, let's start with an example. Normally when you go fishing, most of us are used to monofilament. Then in the early 90s, the innovation of braid came along, and braid gave us an opportunity to cast farther and put more line on the spools. But since it was such a new product, braid back then was very fragile. It broke more than mono would, and on the slightest nick, it would fray. Now, throughout the years, science has made braid to the point where it doesn't cut that easy and doesn't fray that easy. That's why most of us, including me, prefer braid, or at least have braid backing to a mono top shop. But nowadays I'm a little bit smarter. We all are, and I'm going back to fluorocarbon for my leaders over monofilament. Now, monofilament. Let me explain what you're using when you use monofilament. All right. Say for example that we're going to use 100-pound test fluorocarbon. Okay, we're going to compare that to 100-pound test mono. Now, basically, what's the difference? Now, just pretend the thickness of this tube here is a 100-pound monofilament, and compared to the thinness of a 100-pound test fluorocarbon. So basically put, if you have the same pound test, the fluorocarbon will be thinner diameter than the monofilament. If that being the case, the monofilament here is more pliable, and you can tie knots without worrying about losing strength and having the line break at the knot. Whereas if you were to use fluorocarbon, you always had to worry about tying a knot, because fluorocarbon gets a little bit more brittle at the knot, meaning that the knot strength is not as good as monofilament. But now Soft Steel has come out with a line that gives you up to 30% more knot strength. That means you normally don't have to rely on crimping, although I still love crimping. I mean, if you crimp correctly, you won't lose anything at the crimp. I've been doing that for years and I've been successful. Just remember, now we have fluorocarbon that stretches. This is called Stretchable FLUOROCARBON by Soft Steel. So why is monofilament cheaper? Well, let me explain. Like I said, take for example, this is a 100-pound test filament of monofilament. Now, imagine, the best way to explain this is that if this was monofilament, the reason why it's so pliable and it seems soft is because during the process of making monofilament, the monofilament is filled with hundreds to thousands of micro bubbles. So the setting process, that's the result of the setting process, is the bubbles. And the bubbles are there for a reason. The reason is to make it more pliable. And also because of that, the line has a tendency to float more or sink slower, depending how you look at it. Now, you compare that to fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon is thinner diameter because in the process of make fluorocarbon, there are no microscopic bubbles. The bubbles are either at 0% or at a very low percentage. The process is more time consuming, thus the higher price of fluorocarbon. Now, depending on the type of knot you use, you will lose strength at the knots using normal or actually any type of line, monofilament or fluorocarbon, but you tend to lose a little bit more strength in the line for fluorocarbon if you can put a knot in it. That's why this brand here, it's undergone a lot of testing and a lot of reconfiguring, and they made this line so strong that not only is it flexible and durable, but you get 30% more knot strength. The first fluorocarbon that can actually say that. Plus, what makes this fluorocarbon unique, it stretches. I mean, if you were to get monofilament line would stretch. If you were to try to stretch fluorocarbon, it barely stretches. Now, if you use this line, it's the in-between. It's that it's going to stretch, but not as much as monofilament of the same line strength, but it will stretch a little. Not as much as fluorocarbon, but it'll stretch. The advantages to that is if you get a big hit, less chance of the line snapping. That's why I'm starting to use stretchable fluorocarbon. Well, the test results are good. I mean, they used this for jigging off San Diego for tunas. They found that the line does extremely well with large bluefin and yellowfin tunas. They tried it up in Japan. It's done well. Recently, they've been tweaking this line. Okuma has bought Soft Steel, and where it's being manufactured in Japan, they tweaked it a little, and it's better than before. And as far as I know, there's only very few people besides me that's been trying to share this information. One of them is Davey Brown, and this line is really that good. I use it myself. I stopped using monofilament for my leaders. I'm using this line. Now, I did put the information out in this one group, and I was kind of disappointed because not everybody, but quite a few of the normal people were attacking my posting, saying, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. They've been fishing for 30, 40 years like me, and there's no such thing as stretchable fluorocarbon. Now, one of the people, Mike, who is in charge of improving and distributing the line, he read what was going on. He came in and said, hey, I'm not going to explain what the processes are or the results, but for anybody who doubts this, I will send free samples such as this to you to change your mind. Now, up to then, I was besieged by all these people that said, I'm an idiot, I don't know what I'm talking about. And as soon as Mike came out and said, I will send the line out, you should have seen everybody. Ooh, 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 I want one. And it was the people that were talking shit. Can I say that? Well, I guess so, but okay, they're saying bad things about this line. And I just thought, wow, everybody did a 180. They're all saying, oh, I want to try it. Nobody wanted to apologize to the original OP that's saying, hey, we'll give it a try. And some of these people who actually tried it liked it, okay? But still, no retraction, but that's fine, I'm beginning to realize that's being in different worlds, such as diving and bowling and other things, that audience has not changed. Unless if you tried it yourself, you're not going to know, right? I've had good success with this line. I mean, haven't caught anything big yet. I mean, I've hooked the basics like jacks, bonefish, other types of inshore species. Basically because of the winter weather here, and the last 5 to 6 weeks we're having this pandemic issues due to the coronavirus. I really haven't caught anything large yet, but I will. But when I look at the reports, I talk to the people, and during one of the expos, I got a chance to sit down and actually had a heart-to-talk with Sam Brennert, who is the vice president of OKUMA. And while he was sitting down, I was helping with getting this line, with twirling it around, putting in bags as free samples to the anglers, people like yourself. And while he was talking to me, he was talking about the work that Mike has done, and Mark, who is an angler, catching his world-size trouts and all through this line, okay? And after talking with him and listening to the experimentation, I have an understanding why this line is so good. I mean, there's companies out there that are not going to spend this type of money to promote something that hasn't been proven. This line has been proven. Some of the most powerful fighters out there are tunas, especially the yellowfin and bluefin tunas. And off the Southern California coast, they got charters that go out there that go jigging day and night for them. They use this line. That's where the line was developed for that market to begin with. So I'm going to continue using this. And when I catch my first big one, I'm going to say, wow, I finally have some backing. But I'm going off the backing of years of usage from other people who've used this line. Because when a company buys out another company, it's not to lose money, it's to make money. They realized how good this line was. And because the larger company had more money, they're going to make the improvements that the original owner couldn't. So I would say, you know, if you're not sure, you can wait a while, read other people's reports to watching other videos, but give it a try. I mean, just buy one. If your favorite size is 50 pound, 100 pound, buy some, go out there and try it. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying it, and I found that tying knots, me as a fisherman, I know that anytime you tie a knot, that's a weak point. And I've never had one break at the knot. I never had one break yet, okay? So give it a try. I'm still trying mine. And if something does break at the knot, you know, I'm not a shrewd kind of person. I'm not gonna hide it. I would say, okay, this is what happened to me today. Let's see what, if I did anything wrong or something wrong with the product. As far as I can tell so far, there's nothing wrong with this product. And the only way you're gonna tell is you gotta try it yourself, right? So give it a try. You know, I hold no malice against the people that were talking bad about me because they didn't know much more about this product than I did when I first started to use it. So give it a try, see what happens. Send back a comment, let me know how you did, or if you did good or bad. Just let me know, all right? Thanks a lot for listening, and we'll see each other out there.